And welcome everybody. If you could do me a huge favor and let me know you can hear me. That's one of the things I would like to make sure we're going to do. And then secondly, if you take a moment and use either the app or go to www.kahoot.it and use the game pin shown at the top of the screen. All right, thanks for all that feedback. Glad you're here with me for a few minutes talking about layer 2 and layer 3 multi-layer switching. And we're going to start here in just a few minutes. Thanks for being here. All right, I see Kelvin Tran is in the house. Cisco fan is in the house. Monish, Buddy, Jason, Henry, Ryan, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here. Also, I think I just brought some music to the party. If you could confirm that as well, that'd be awesome if you can hear that wonderful Kahoot tune rocking on. All right, thanks, Jason. Thanks, everybody, for being here. It's a great day to test our knowledge on multi-layer switching, and I've got a few surprises for you, too. All right, and if you're just joining us, please feel free to join the live quiz. The URL is at the top, or you can use the app of Kahoot and use the pin code shown. If you're coming in late later, that pin number will still be at the very bottom. So if somebody joins late and they want to join us, you can just refer them to the pin code at the bottom of the screen. Also, I want to point out that if you're watching this live and enjoying it live, which we are, we get to play live. But if we're watching a recording like tomorrow or the next day or whenever, of course, it wouldn't be able to do the interactive game. I got a few questions like that, like my pin isn't working. And I thought, this question just came in like 2 days after the quiz. So it was fun. I'm glad people are enjoying it. Just going to dial in a few screens here, and then we will be good to go. All right. Blendinator saying first time. Glad to have you during the quiz. And Pratesh, you're very welcome. It's good to see everybody. All right, let me check the time. Give me one moment, and then we'll start. All right, we are going to start here in just a few seconds. I want to thank everybody for joining me for this Kahoot quiz. It's based on Cisco technology, a lot of multi-layer switching. If you aren't yet familiar with that, you'll learn a lot in this quiz, and also it'll identify where we can go back to do additional studies. So again, if this is the first time our paths have crossed, my name is Keith Barker. It's so good to have you here. To make it easier to find me, if you want to click on subscribe, that way you can find me in your list of subscriptions. And my goal is to help you in your journey in getting additional skills in the world of technology. And we start with CCNA oftentimes, we go on to CCNP and CCIE, and I've enjoyed my entire journey, and I want to help you be successful with yours. All right, having said that, let me put the code back up on the screen, and we are going to start. I'm clicking the magic button. There it is, a Kahoot by the OG of IT, multi-layer switching. These are randomized orders, and here is your first question. Good luck, everybody. Who could provide HSRP services to the PC? Also, I'd like to point out, as you look at this crazy topology that I dreamed up last night and put into reality, that we're going to use the same topology for most of our questions. And I've given you up to 2 minutes oftentimes when it takes a while to figure something out. For me, it takes a little while to warm up to a topology. So on the first question here, be easy on yourself. And thanks for the super sticker, the solid shadow. Much appreciated. And tuna and sweet corn, if that is your real name, jumped on an answer too soon. Been there, done that. So there's several more coming up. Yeah, me too. Vernon saying, I'm glad this isn't the actual CCNA. The good news is this, is that the topics I pulled for these questions absolutely are in the ballpark of CCNA, because CCNA asks about layer 2 and layer 3 switching. And everything I'm going to cover here is dealing with layer 2 and layer 3 switching and ether channels, both layer 2 and layer 3 ether channels, which are both on the CCNA. All right. If you jumped on the answer too soon, no worries. There's more questions coming up. All right. Well, you know, it's a warm-up, right? It's a warm-up. So let's talk for a moment. I'm glad you're here. First of all, to get anywhere in life, well, no, I shouldn't say to get anywhere, because you'll end up somewhere no matter what you do. But if you want to get to the point you want to be, applying a little study and a little practice is a great thing. And so I have these really great questions to share with you. This is one of them. And I'd like to spend a moment, if you're up for it, in talking about why that answer was correct. Also, this will give us a chance to warm up to this topology, what it is and how it's working, and it'll help you with the future questions as well. All right, let's see here. Let me bring out my magic pen. Keith, do you have a magic pen? Maybe. So what could provide HSRP services to the PC? So let me bring up the media here, and let me bring up my pen. There it is. All right, and the color I'm going to use is this color right here. Happy, happy color. All right. So the question was, who could provide HSRP services to the PC? So the first question is, where's the PC? So we identify the PC here, the DHCP client, it looks like. It's off of port 7 of this multi-layer switch. And if you're new to multi-layer switching, here's what it means. You've got a device that can do routing based on layer 3 IP packets, routing functions, And you can do layer 2 forwarding of frames based on layer 2 MAC addresses, switching functions. You put that into one box and boom, multi-layer switch. So there's the PC. And what is HSRP? HSRP stands for Hot Standby Router Protocol. And basically it provides default gateway services that are redundant. So PCs need a default gateway. They do, because they only know about their directly connected network. So if we have 2 or more devices that provide layer 3 routing services on that same VLAN, because he's in VLAN 3, those devices could provide fault tolerance like HSRP or Gateway Load Balancing Protocol or VRRP. But for CCNA, the primary one that they want you to know is like VRRP and HSRP. So the thing is that who are the devices, who has a layer 3 interface that's available to the PC in VLAN 3? And the answer is, if this is a layer 2 trunk between switch 2 and switch 3, these are the 2 devices that could pull that off. So switch 2 could participate in HSRP in VLAN 3 because that's the trunk between them, and switch 3 could participate in HSRP services for VLAN 3. So I would say the answers are switch 2 and switch 3. Now the moment of truth. I hope that's true. That's literally my moment of truth. Let's see. Yeah, switch 2 or switch 3. So here's the other opportunity that you and I have. Every Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m., 10 o'clock at 10 o'clock Pacific time on Saturdays, I hold the Keith Barker Instructor Hour. It's exactly 1 hour long, and it's for people who are studying or have questions. Come on in. It's on the Discord server, free, and ask your questions. So if you're studying something or have a question, yesterday we had great conversations about OSPF and fascinating questions. And they were based on a quiz question, like, why is that true and how's that work? And gave me a chance to elaborate on it more. So I think we had like a fairly small group, maybe 5 to 8 people at the most. So it's very, very tight, close little, group where you can ask questions. So if you want to bring this question regarding this quiz question next Saturday, please feel free to do so. All right. And here we go. At the very bottom of the screen, by the way, is the pin ID. So you can join this if you're just joining us. And elated raccoon. We often might ask ourselves, why is that raccoon so elated? The answer is first place. Dude, first place. Nice work. Here's question 2 of 9. These will go a little bit faster because we're using the same topology. But what is true based on the output that is shown right here, 90 seconds on the clock? And I'll be a little bit more quiet so you can focus. All right. Now, I didn't say pick 3 or which 3, but not bad. Not bad. Mostly correct answers. I'm proud of that. Let's drag in some output. Now, it might have been better. Let me change my screen size a little bit here, see if that's more readable. It would have been awesome. Some of you might think, well, Keith, it'd be so great if you didn't cut out this detail from the output that shows you the details of what's going on. But if you do the show EtherChannel summary, and by the way, this is from Packet Tracer, which is a pretty good tool to help practice and get better at things. With Packet Tracer here, I did a show EtherChannel summary, and what do we know? We have 2 port channel interfaces. We have PO12 and PO23. For PO12, we're using gig 111 and gig 112. And for port channel 23, we're using 113 and 114. For port channel 23, it shows right here that it's using LACP as the negotiating establishment and maintenance protocol for that ether channel. And so that's true. Port channel 23 is using LACP. And for port number 12 or PO12, see that dash? That to me thinks about things like on. Like not using PAGP, not using link aggregation control protocol, it's just on. Now the other thing that was helpful here is this part right here. What type of ether channel are you? And the R represents layer 3, like a router, and the S represents layer 2, like a switch. So if that's going to help you remember that the R represents layer 3, like routing, and the S represents layer 2 switching, that's great, because that's literally what they're representing there. Okay, you guys did pretty good on that. Super pleased. Let me clear off my screen. Let me pull that out of the way. And we go back to a bigger screen. And, oh my gosh, here we go. Elated Raccoon, still crushing it, 3,586 points. Now, no pressure here, but the faster you answer the question correctly, the more points you get. It also leads us to jump to the wrong conclusion sometimes. So balance that and make your best effort, guess. And hopefully everybody who does these quiz questions, when they answer something wrong, hopefully we're taking the opportunity to discover why we answered it incorrectly, and then better learn it and understand how it works. All right, question 3 of 9. Who could provide default gateway services for VLAN 3? Oh my gosh. These are randomized. I randomized these questions, so that's all I'm saying. No, it's not. This is very similar to a previous question we had on HSRP. Just saying. Sean, thank you for the kind words. I'm glad I could be a bigger, part of your summer and getting your exam passed. Fantastic. Kelvin, thanks for your help in the chats. You're amazing. Kelvin's one of the Discord admins over on Discord on the Keith Barker channel. Thank you for all of the service you give to everybody. And Mayat, you are so welcome. Happy to do this. If I talk like this, they can hear. Like, Keith, who are you talking to? I'll tell you in a moment. All right, who could provide default gateway services for VLAN 3? Let's take a look. So if we look at the media here, and I get out my pen, which I am using Epic Pen. I saw that question earlier. Thanks for the response, by the way. So this PC here is in, it says it's in VLAN 3. That means this is an access port. Port 7 is an access port associated with VLAN 3. Great. Now, who could be a default gateway for this PC? The answer is anybody, any router that has an interface in VLAN 3. Now, because this is the trunk, it's actually in layer 2 ether channel doing 802.1q trunking. Switch 2 and Switch 3 both have access and can have a switched virtual interface in VLAN 3. That means they both could be acting as a default gateway. It's basically the same answer to the question, which devices could provide HSRP services? This is also over here on the left. If you haven't seen it yet, SVIs are in place, meaning I have switched virtual interfaces, logical layer 3 interfaces on the switches already set up, ready to go. All right. You guys are doing great. Let's continue. Let me take off my pen work here, my penmanship, and let's go to the next question. So wow, 36 of you got that right. It's fantastic. It shows me that at the very end, a summary of which questions were answered correctly and which ones were the hardest questions. And we can, together, if you want, at the end of this quiz, I'll show you that list as well. See which were the toughest questions out of all presented today. All right, elated raccoon refuses to be put down. And I guess putting down a raccoon, that's probably not a good thing. You know, those are animals. So. Anyway, and then Focused Urchin and Super Gator are coming up. Also in the studio today with me, I've got another one of our admins on Discord, and that is Trevor. And Trevor helped me today with moving some heavy stuff. Would you say heavy? Yeah. Pretty much moving stuff from some other property. We won't say any names, but yeah. From a different property over to here. Yep. So I'm very grateful. It was heavy, and I'm very grateful for his help. All right. Does not take it home, my car. All right, here we go. Question number 4 of 9. What do layer 3 switches and routers have in common? And I want you to choose 3 of these. Adamo, bonjour. All right, good work. They have IP addressed interfaces, like switched virtual interfaces. They have ARP caches that remember the layer 2 resolution when they're doing forwarding of packets, and they need the layer 2 address. Then they also have routing tables. So if we were to take a look at a multi-layer switch, I'm going to change my screen size a little bit, make that a little bit more readable. There we go. So if we did a show IP interface brief, so there's its IP addresses on there's its port channel interface on that layer 3 port channel. And here's the VLAN interface, VLAN 3, fantastic. And if we did a show ARP, there's the ARP cache, just like a router or any other device would have that maps layer 3 addresses to layer 2 addresses, and it caches it. So we don't have to ARP every single time, we need to learn somebody else's address. We learn it, cache it for a while. And what was the other one? The other one was, they have routing tables, sure enough. So we do a show IP route. There's the routing table on this multi-layer switch. And look at this. For some interfaces, we have the port channel that we're going to use, the layer 3 port channel. And on other routes, we have the VLAN 3 interface. So these are layer 3 interfaces is what we're going to use for the routing process. And layer 3 port channels and VLANs, interface VLANs, SVIs, are both fall in that category. All right, great job. Let's see who is in the top spot. Elated Raccoon, Super Gator, followed by Focused Urchin. All right, this game is on. All right, let's go ahead and continue. I'll give you the full screen. Multiple select. OSPF is enabled for all interfaces in the configuration. Who will become neighbors in this topology? Choose all that apply. I'm also just going to throw it out there. The PC is not running OSPF. So it's not blue. Or if you're colorblind, it's not the answer that says switch 1 in the PC. I want to be an equal opportunity spoiler. So regarding the PC and OSPF, I'm not saying we couldn't run OSPF on a PC with utilities, especially hacking utilities. I'm just saying in this topology, it isn't happening. All right, the correct answers are switch 2 and switch 3 will become neighbors, and switch 1 and switch 2 will become neighbors, but not switch 1 and switch 3, which 36 you thought might be a nice idea. I mean, neighborships are fantastic, right? I mean, we want to be friendly with people. Ah, dang, I just closed that. Let me bring up that diagram. I meant to see peek at the diagram. Let me find it real quick. Give me one moment. So I have this stored. And let's see here. Almost there. It'll be worth it. Let me find it real quick. There it is. We'll just bring it up in some other utility. Boom. That'll work. All right. That'll work. So now I have to remind myself what the question was. Oh, who is giving neighbors? So if OSPF is enabled everywhere, basically, from switch 1's perspective, think of this port channel 2012 as a layer 3 interface. So we've got a layer 3 interface. Think of like switch 1 and switch 2 being a router, which they are in this case. And they've only got one connection, so there's going to be a neighborship there. And for switch 3, it has no layer 3 interfaces that are in the same network here as this 10.12 network. So the relationships are going to be from SVI to SVI, the switch virtual interface addresses between switch 2 and switch 3, they'd become neighbors there with OSPF. And switch 2 would become neighbors with switch 1, but that's the only neighborships that would exist. So switch 1 has no knowledge of switch 3 as far as a directly connected neighbor because they don't have any, they don't share a layer 3 network together between switch 1 and switch 3. So you know what we could do is let's do this. This would be fun. Let me erase that real quick. Let me bring up this guy. So this is switch 2 in the middle, by the way, in this topology. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see it better. Bonk. There we go. So if we did a show IP OSPF interface brief. Oh, this is packet tracer. Sorry, everybody. So show IP OSPF neighbors. This shows us that switch 2 is a neighbor with switch 1. It's using the port channel interface that it has, the layer 3 port channel for that adjacency. And it's also fully adjacent with router 3 based on that router ID. And it's using the interface VLAN 3 for that relationship. All right, moving on. You guys are doing great. Here is the full screen once again. Let me minimize this topology. And let's take a look at the next question. Elated raccoon followed by royal gator, carrying shark, topical jaguar, and space 2 jaguars in the top 5. Wow. All right, question 6 of 9. I'm having a good time. I'm so glad you're here. Which modes represent that LACP, Link Aggregation Control Protocol, is desired and being used for EtherChannel? And if you're looking at that screen saying, oh, there's the screen, it's showing us. Oh, it's not showing us. Somebody put X's in there. What was that all about? So mean. I'm doing it for you because I love you. All right, Michelle says, this is fun. I'm going to do this every week. Love to have you. We do the instructor hours on Saturdays, Pacific time at 10 o'clock, and the quizzes are always on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. All right, passive and active. That absolutely is the representation that we're going to use Link Aggregation Control Protocol. And the other two options of auto and desirable, those were all PAG-P. Fantastic. All right. Good job. Good job. If you got that right, it's definitely right in there in the blueprint for CCNA. Boy, Elated Raccoon, please reach out to me on Discord and let me know who you are, because that's just amazing. I'd like to, I'm not saying Elated Raccoon's going to win the whole thing. I'm just saying that Elated Raccoon is crushing it. And we have 9 players that have an answer streak of 3 or longer. So that's up to 3. Fantastic work. Okay, question 7 of 9, coming down to the brass tacks. Multi-select. OSPF is enabled for all interfaces. Which interfaces will be used for the OSPF adjacencies? Jason, moving from 10th place down to 23rd. Not so bad. It's only for people who stop. Those are the people who aren't going to win. So everybody's a winner if you keep moving. I mean, rain dances never fail. The American, Indian did a rain dance, and they always work. Always. The secret to that is what I use for my CCIE studies. Just never stop. If you study long enough, you'll get it. If you dance long enough, the rain will come. Just make sure you're doing consistent work in the direction you want to go. That's my one coaching to everybody. Don't give up. I'm a double CCIE, but I didn't fall there. I got my first one in 2001 when I'd have to do the math. I've got 7 children. They're all grown now. But in 2001, I had probably at least 4. And I spent 4 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week for 8 months to pass that exam the first time. So it's worth it. Totally worth it. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. I'd probably do it sooner. Maybe there wasn't Facebook and YouTube, though, to distract me. I'll give it a factor. That's right, Blendinator. Never give up. Never surrender. Boom! Okay, the correct answers are Switch 2, Switch Virtual Interface, VLAN 3, and also Switch 1 Port Channel 12. What is so magical about those two? They are the only Layer 3 interfaces that were possible answers. So if you want to have an OSPF neighborship adjacency with somebody, pick a Layer 3 interface, and that's the one it's going to use. So Switch 2 Port Channel 23 is Layer 2, and Switch 1 Port 2 is Layer 2. So it needs to be a Layer 3 interface, and that's why blue and green here are correct. Now, just a little, okay, take a breath here. If you're new to multi-layer switching and routing and everything, take this one step at a time. This concept about, like, you take two boxes, right? You want them to talk to each other. There's like 7 ways of doing that. I mean, you could have access ports on both sides and switch virtual interfaces to have them adjacent with each other. You could do a no switch port on the interfaces and make them Layer 3 ports. You could do a no switch port on one and have it connect to an access port on the other and have an SVI. I'm just saying that one step at a time. So this stuff is a little bit more tricky because it's not assuming, it's relying on a lot of other knowledge about routing and switching and multi-layer switches. So that's why I put this quiz together. All right, let me go back to our quiz questions. We are almost done. I'm proud of everybody who's participating and showing up and putting in study time every week towards their CCNA or CCNP. Elated Raccoon says, I'm taking the lead and I'm not looking back. And I'm happy for everybody who's here. Let's continue on. I think we have like 1 or 2 more. Yeah, this is the penultimate question. The question before the last. Where's DHCP relay applied on a multi-layer switch? Where does it go? I'm not gonna lie. I'm digging this jam. And San Jose, if you want to join the quiz, we just have a couple questions left, but you can go to kahoot.it on the web or use the Kahoot app and then just put in the pin code is in the bottom of the screen. There'll also be a recording of this in the quiz playlist on the Keith Barker channel, on my channel on YouTube. So you can review it there as well if you'd like. Tanu, thank you for providing that pin. Fantastic. All right. Where's DHCP relay applied on a multi-layer switch? It's on a layer 3 interface. It's going to be on the interface that is in the VLAN where the DHCP server is not. And so you have a layer 3 interface. It could be a port channel layer 3 interface, although unlikely because that's going to be between two switches. So it could be a VLAN interface or any layer 3 interface. That's where you'd apply the DHCP relay. So here's the discover message, wraps that packet up, ships it over to the DHCP server who responds with the appropriate IP address from the correct pool. And then the client, through that interaction of Dora, gets an IP address and is happy, happy, happy. All right, you guys are great. And I think we have one final question. Also, I want to point out, let's see who's at the top. Elated Raccoon has the highest average answer streak of 8 and has the points to show for it. Congratulations for everybody for showing up and participating. I'm having a lot of fun. I enjoy the time together. I do. Also, I wanted to point out that if you are pursuing your CCNA or if you want to look at all these questions, I created a playlist on my YouTube channel. And it's called the something like, quiz playlist, something really creative like that. So if you want to go through, I think we have like 20 quizzes that I wrote. And this is like the 20th. So you can go back and you look at that quiz playlist. You can enjoy it and just go through the whole thing. I recommend doing that before you go for your CCNA exam, just to help identify areas that you need to study a little more. Also, if you have questions, bring them to the instructor hour, which is on Discord, free every Saturday at 10 a.m. All right, this is the final question. Sniff, sniff. What is being configured in the sample configuration? Blendinator, that is a great question. Let me pick that up after everybody answers. And San Jose, you're spot on. So what is being configured in the sample configuration? Layer 3 EtherChannel without link aggregation control protocol or PAGP. And that is because right here, it is on. On means don't bother with any of those bad boys, just on. Now, for bonus points, here's bonus points for you. When would we want to oh, this is layer 3. Never mind. I was gonna say, if you're connecting over to a wireless LAN controller and you're doing EtherChannel, you'd want to use on, but that would be a layer 2 EtherChannel, not layer 3. The no switch port brings it into layer 3 territory. All right. So a couple questions from the queue, and let me go ahead and bring up the camera, and let me bring this over. Oh, let's take a look at the winners first. Yeah, let's do that, and then I'll bring the camera over. Okay, so survey says, here's the podium. 3rd place, Super Gator. Tropical Jaguar. Oh, I wonder who this could be. And 9 out of 9. Elated Raccoon. Thank you for participating in the OG of IT quiz on multi-layer switching. Let me show you the results here too, as far as the. Let me get some feedback. So this is the difficult questions. Like the most difficult question was who could provide HSRP services? Only 10% correct, and then OSPF. So this is useful for me as a trainer because I can then take that information and reinforce that concept. Let me get some feedback from you as well. So if you would on your app, just go ahead and apply some feedback. I see somebody just subscribed. Thank you for that as well. It's great to have you. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for you being here and practicing and getting better and better. The trick is just don't give up and set some goals for yourself as far as when you'd like to get to a certain level. Oh, there's also a question in the queue asking about timing on these quiz questions. So if it's a fairly difficult question, I'll usually put 120 seconds on the clock. And if it's not so difficult, like how do you spell CDP? Less. So in the actual exam for CCNA, it's like 102, 103 questions. There's no simulations anymore, so it's just a matter of just going through it. You might have some drag and drops or multiple guess, multiple choice, and it'll tell you if they're looking for 2 answers, it'll say, pick the 2 answers. It won't leave you hanging. But because there's 100 questions, and they give you like 2 hours, or I think it's 2 hours for the exam. You have to check out the details before you go take it. But if you just assume that based on the time of the exam divided by the number of questions, that's your time frame. When I took it, and I have a whole video on it. I have a whole video walkthrough on my exam experience with CCNA, and I liked it. I thought it was a fair exam. They took the blueprint, they asked the right questions, and I thought they were testing my knowledge of those things at an appropriate level. I loved it. So as far as the time, I used most of my time in the CCNA exam. I was enjoying it. I was like taking the question, thinking, did they mean this? How do they mean that? And passed the exam. Fortunately, I passed the exam. But I think 1 to 2 minutes for a fairly tricky question is probably the most you'll want to take. And the questions you're more sure about, read all the answers. Look at the question again, read all the answers, and verify you're answering the right question. Because in the exam, you click on go or next, and you can't go back. It's a one-way trip to success for you. And again, the number one thing I would have you do is whatever your main course of study is, and you're enjoying your studies. If you're working on something like spanning tree or routing or multi-layer switching, lab it up. I have this packet tracer lab up on the, I put a link for it in the description of the video. So you can actually download this if you want, or build it yourself and play around with it. But labbing it up and practicing is a huge, huge benefit. Also, if you're stuck on something, or you're working in a packet tracer lab, or you have a question, save it. DM me on Discord, send it to me. I'm happy to open it up, especially now with Packet Tracer 7.31. You don't have to authenticate every single time. It's great, like once every month or once every 3 months. Fantastic. So save it, send it to me. Say, Keith, I'm stuck with this. I'll be happy to look at it. Join me on Saturdays at 10 a.m. for the instructor hour with Keith. Happy to help. The goal is keep moving, keep going. And that's my wish for you. I want to thank Trevor here. He's been very quiet and enjoying. Were you in the top 5?
Sadly, no.
Oh, okay. So Trevor just saw none of these questions because we were removing gear, physical gear and stuff and racks up to 15 minutes before the stream.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, time for the stream. And I'd prepped these questions last night, so they were all ready to go. And so he played, but he had not seen any of the questions beforehand, so he didn't have any unfair advantage. And where did you come? You mind telling us where you came in? No, I mean on your, just right there. You're good at there. But what position? On your phone, yeah. Do you remember? He's looking it up. He's looking it up.
I think it was in 15th.
15th, okay. But it wasn't the top 5.
No.
But it wasn't in the bottom 5.
Yeah. No.
All right, that's awesome. So here's a guy who really understands network. Some of these questions are pretty tricky. Oh, also, you don't have the screen, do you? So he was looking at my monitor, right, for the questions, and some of that font was he's probably 7-8 feet away because of social distancing, and he's also wearing a mask. So just to let you know, we're being safe.
And also on top of that, I have a nice chip in my glasses.
And he has a chip in his glasses. All right.
There's another unfair.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Let me, if there's any question, I've got a bolt right after this. If you have questions about the quiz questions, a lot of people join the Discord server and they jump in the CCNA voice chat room after a stream. I'm not going to be able to do that today, but there are usually several people there. So if you have questions, you can ask them. You can catch me, though, if you want, on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Let me see if there's any other questions here. The 999J Strict is saying how many people participated today and I closed that window. I'd have to look at my, it says, my live stream from YouTube says 209 viewers at the moment. So it might have been higher before. I'm not sure how many people played. So that's in my stats for Kahoot. I look at that later. But I can only support up to 2,000. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. Let's see if there's other questions here as well. Thanks, everybody. I'm glad it was a good refresher. A lot of kind words. A lot of great. Great T-shirt. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. I've got your back. I've got one for Halloween, too. It has 2 skeletons with one has the other guy's back. It's my Halloween flavor of that. Oh, the Pac-Man ghost in the background is awesome. Thank you very much, Ryan. Glad you're here. Kelvin, awesome. I'm glad you played. Appreciate that. Usually, Kelvin previews and does a sanity check on these questions out of his own time. He's just totally, giving of himself. And today, because I was late, I didn't have a chance to preview it with anybody. So I'm glad you're able to play. And let's see if there's anything else. The binary clock in the background over here. What model is it? I'll tell you what I'll do. I have an affiliate link on Amazon. I don't know if that clock is in it or not, but later today I'll add it. So you can just go down. All of my videos have my affiliate link. I basically take products for networking, routing, switching, also stuff for YouTube, my lights and everything else, and my camera, and I put it in my YouTube list or my Amazon list. And so that way you can see exactly the models I use and all that stuff as well. Also, I think they spin off a few dollars if somebody buys one, but that's not a moneymaker for me. So I will add that to my Amazon storefront so you can see what that is. But it's super fun. The other day, I had my somebody I work with on the phone, and fairly, IT person, and I said, check out my new clock. He looks at it, and I said, hey, can you tell me what time it is? And it was after like 42, like the hour is pretty easy because the hour only goes up to like 12, right? Because it's 12-hour clock. But for the minutes, so the bottom row is seconds and then minutes and then the hour, and there's a couple other options for it as well. But it was over past the 40 mark for minutes. I said, hey, what time is it? It's like 2:45. It's like, hey, 32 plus 60. I was doing the math on the binary. I go, you're right. And I realized at that moment when I said, you're right, that he just looked at his computer clock and said, yeah, whatever that time was. So anyway, it's a fun clock. A lot of fun. All right, let me see if there's any other quick questions. Looking forward to the Halloween special quiz. Because you're teaching, I'm inspired to take the CCNA exam. Amit, fantastic. It will serve you well. And it's just a starting point. Learning the technology, really learning it, and then just keep on going. Don't stop. Your videos are great. Greetings from Buenos Aires. Luis, thank you very much for that. And my background looks amazing. My daughter Amber is an artist, and she designed most of this for me. We took what was at my old studio and we kicked it up a couple notches. And thank you for that feedback. And you are so welcome for the stream. All right, that's going to be it. I'm going to release some additional videos. I released 4 new videos last week on SD-WAN. So, as my friend Network Chuck would say, you need to learn SD-WAN. No, I love Network Chuck. You don't need to learn SD-WAN now, though. But I'll tell you what is beneficial. It's beneficial that if you're in a job interview and they want to talk about SD-WAN, software-defined WAN, or like how the control plane separator, how it works, it's useful to have a little bit of knowledge about how that stuff works. So I created 4 videos on SD-WAN. What I thought I would want somebody to tell me if I was just learning about it. Like, what's the big picture? Why the benefit? How does it work? What are the pieces? And that way, if you're in a job interview and they have SD-WAN, you won't be like, I have no idea what that is. Sounds really cool. That you can actually, after a few videos, there's 4 videos, like 10 to 15 minutes a piece. I put them in a playlist for SD-WAN. It's Cisco's SD software-defined wide area networking solution with vBond, vManage, vSmart, and vEdges, or edges, including Cisco routers as edges. All right. Everybody, thank you very, very much. I'm going to give you some really cool exit music. And be safe, be well, be nice to others. Keep studying, and let me know, darn it, if I can help. Catch you next time. Bye for now.